The following teaching is possible thanks to the friends and partners of Spirit and Truth Fellowship International.
Hey guys, here's something I was thinking about. I recently went through a pretty difficult time in my family. I've got 3 grandkids I'm raising, and one of them really came up against some really tough struggles. And it was a time for my family that was very painful, very difficult. And during that process, as I was thinking about it, there's a couple things that really struck me, because the fact of the matter is we all go through difficult times. There's always things that are happening to us, and if we have a friend that, let's just say someone who's struggled with a health problem, maybe it's cancer. In fact, as I'm recording this right now, a good friend of mine is undergoing surgery. These things happen in life. But when they do, if we have a friend that we know that is dealing with something, here's a couple things that I think we should never do. Number one, we should never criticize. The time to criticize is not then. Like I say, when a person is walking through hell, the last thing they need is someone heaping more baggage on them. And that's what criticism does. Now, granted, maybe they're going through a difficult time because of some very foolish, unwise decisions they've made. But criticism actually doesn't help. It puts the person deeper into the pain. The other thing that we should do is, I don't believe it's a time to give advice. If a person wants advice, they should ask for the advice, like, what do I do? Or do you have an opinion on this? But if they don't ask, don't feel obligated to give, because again, advice doesn't help. I know that rang true for me when I expressed the difficult time I was going through. Someone right away started criticizing, and then another person started giving all this advice. Well, it's like calling up someone and saying, hey, my wife has cancer, and then someone saying, oh, well, don't do chemo, don't do this, that's not the time to give advice. Sometimes the person just needs to get over the shock of the difficulty. They're walking through hell at that moment, and they don't need criticism, and they don't need advice. And another thing they don't need, this is the third thing, they don't need a bunch of platitudes, nice little sayings like, well, God will make a way, and I know all those things. We all know the biblical truths. We all have faith in God, but those don't really comfort the heart in that moment. When you've got a child that just died and said, well, just be comforted. No, they're in heaven. No, I'm not comforted right now. I'm in pain. And so I'm not trying to make light of the spiritual truths, but the fact is, don't give advice, don't criticize, don't start flipping out little spiritual platitudes like that's going to put a Band-Aid over a heart that's bleeding and hurt and broken. What really, I think the number one thing people need, what I need when I'm in that situation, I need a friend who comes along and just says, I don't know what to do. I don't think there's anything I can say, and I know you're walking through hell, but can I hold your hand and walk with you? When a person's walking through hell, just hold their hand and walk with them. The comfort is in knowing that others care, that they're there for you, that when you get to that point and you need advice, etc., that they'll be there. So when you find that someone that you love is walking through hell, number one, hold their hand and just try to walk with them. I believe that's what genuine compassion really is. That's what empathy really is. So just a couple things I thought, and they come from my own personal experiences. So as I said, when a person's walking through hell, just hold their hand and walk alongside with them. Guaranteed, it's gonna produce results.